Hi folks, it's Matcha here from Matcha the Cut Photography, and today's little tutorial is about visual weight. Oh, visual weight? What on earth's that? Well, it's something I teach and visual artists teach, so painters and stuff like that. But it's not something that's talked about in the photography community much, and it's very complex. But I'm going to just show you some stuff and talk about why I'm doing it, and then you might kind of catch on. So, this is a lovely picture I did for a very talented artist recently, and I'm going to use it as an example about visual weight. So, editing wise, doesn't really need much to do with editing, but there's a few things like that I say that are wrong with this. So I'm going to Control and J to duplicate this, and I'm going to show you what I'm going to fix. I am looking around Border Patrol, so this is nice and clean and doesn't cause any problems, and this is lovely, this is her work, and this is lovely, and this is her work. But around the edge there is a few things that are distracting me, so I'm going to fix them. This texture here, there's light circles in the middle of the dark, and that has a very high degree of visual weight. If you have something dark and something light together, that creates contrast. That's how we perceive contrast. So when I look at this, I look at her, I look at her work, and then I go straight here. My eyes go straight here. Did you notice it when you looked at this straight away? You might never recognize what it was, but your eyes probably lingered here. I do not want people spending time looking here. I want them to look at this and the lovely lady here who is the painter who did them. So I'm going to fix it. Here we go. So what am I going to do? I know I can't use my magical thingy tool, because when you do this won't work. Kind of work, but it always does this. See this here where it tries to blend? So if it was a circle on its own, it would have been fine. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the B for brush tool, and I'm going to use the picker, and I'm going to pick the color, and then I'm going to actually draw a little line. I'm still going to use that tool because I'm really lazy. I'm going to use the tool anyway. So I'm still going to use the tool, but I'm going to use this here to separate out the pictures from, the holes. There we go. So I am creating a bit of like a clean line, if you like. That's way too dark up there. Hold on. You need to use the picker multiple times, because the luminance values, this chair's blue, but the light on it is different in different places. There we go. Okay, that'll do. Now I'm going to switch back to the inpainting tool, and I'm just going to draw. Now that it has an edge to work out, it will just magic fix it. I'm going to set that wee bit there. There we go. So what I'm doing is just drawing around it messily, and it is going to look around and say, right, okay, there's a giant block of colour in the middle, and I should kind of try and zap that out, and that's what it does. If you understand how the tools work, they're much easier to use. This one you do not want to be neat, you want to be sloppy and messy, because the sloppier and messier you are, the more information you're giving it about what you want it to do, and it's more likely to turn out properly. Now, the next thing here, and this is a very minor thing a lot of people would notice, I've created a clean line here. So what I'm going to do is actually blur this edge, because I've made a clean line everywhere that I've drawn here. I've kind of made a clean line, so I'm blurring it, and I'll probably blur the patch a wee bit as well. But there's still a bit of something throwing me there, so I'm going to use that to sort of average it out. Why I like this inpainting tool is it creates a wee bit of randomness to what it's doing, so it doesn't actually, a lot of times having a very uniform pattern makes it really, really obvious. Okay, so there we go. So that's one thing fixed. See the difference here? So let me see that? See how your eye isn't drawn to it? And then the other thing here, another visual weight thing, my fault just with posing her, her hand, a little piece of her hand is poking out here, and you probably didn't even notice it, but it's on the edge of the picture, so it gets a lot of visual weight. You know what, that's probably okay. Let me see, that'll do. And that's the kind of thing that if I look at this now, you probably didn't notice it. The very observant among you, it would cause problems. So there we go. So it seems weird chopping off a bit of a limb, but it's a really bad mistake there to have a little bit of skin poking out. It has a lot of visual weight, and because it has a lot of visual weight, it's detracting from the picture. I want people to look at Arlene, look at her work like this, and their eyes to sort of float around in the middle here, like that. So there you go, that's a little tutorial about what visual weight is. It is much more complex and sophisticated than this, but I just want you to see an example of it so you can understand. It seems really silly, why on earth would I do that? But I think if you look at this, now that I've pointed them out to you, it's very hard to miss them, and now that I've zapped them away, it makes the picture better. Okay, so there you go. Hope you liked it, and thanks for watching.